All right, hey there, I am Mr. Pike, and I am a fourth grade teacher, and I've also been teaching guitar for many years. Over 20 years, I've been teaching children how to play guitar, mainly focusing on just beginners ages 10 through 12. And I wanted to do a quick tutorial on very beginning exercises for guitar. And I'm talking very, very beginning, just forming the chords. Then I'm going to show you some exercises that we do. So the first chord that I teach the major chord. So I'll teach an A chord. And I skip the B because there's a skipping of, you actually have to skip the 3rd fret. So I kind of skip that, and I don't use a lot of songs in the beginning with B. And then, but I do teach them C major, D major, E major. We kind of skip F for the beginning because you're kind of barring 2 bottom strings, and G. So basically, those are the chords that I teach, and then I teach the minor chords. But the exercise I wanted to show you for this video is for parents to see and help their students practice this, because a lot of times they're not there during the lesson. And this is what we do. So I start off with A. Once they figure out where to put their fingers on the chord, and if I had this set, I might be able to, and maybe in the corner there, if I get advanced, I can show you what the chord looks like, you know, in their bigger scale of seeing the strings. But once your fingers are placed there, I do what I call a sound check. And what that means is I'm going to pluck the strings that my fingers are touching, which I'm touching the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. And I'll start with the 4th. And if they're not pressing hard enough, it'll sound like this. So I'll say, okay, adjust your fingers. We're going to do a sound check. Good. And that's the index finger. Then I say, do the 3rd string. That's your middle finger. And then we go down to the 2nd string. And that's your ring finger. So those are the 3 strings that we're touching. And that, I call it a sound check. Like you're sound checking a mic. Check 1, 2, check 1, 2. Because again, if it's sounding like this, which is a common mistake students will make when they're beginning, that means they've got to really put a little bit more pressure with their left hand, pressing down on the strings to get that crispness. Once we've done what I call the sound check, the next exercise I like to do is called shuffling the deck. So I tell them to take their fingers and just shuffle them around like we're shuffling a deck of cards. And they can kind of hook their thumb on here. They don't have to take their whole hand off and do this, but they shuffle the decks and then put their fingers back on that chord if we're working on the A chord. And we shuffle the deck 10 times as part of the exercise. So I'll say, okay, shuffle the deck. And when they're new, they've got to figure out, okay, where does my fingering go? Okay, there we go. That's 1. Shuffle the deck. And they'll shuffle. And 2. Shuffle the deck. Sometimes they come back down. They're all 1 too high or too low. We adjust. 3. And what we're doing is we're doing a muscle exercise here, in muscle exercises, and just remembering where they go. And eventually I tell them they could do the chords without looking at all because their hands have just memorized where to go. So that's what we do. So we do a sound check again, and then I'll go on to the next chord. So we skip B, like I said, we'll go to C. So I tell them 1st fret, 2nd fret, 3rd fret, and I kind of tell them a C chord is almost like the breaking waves of a C, like it's kind of crashing wave if you look at the fingers going down. And then we'll do a sound check. So we'll start on the top with the 5th string. That is our ring finger, and then the next string. And again, if it sounds like this, the whole purpose of the sound check is to correct that sound. That means we're not pressing down firmly on the string. And often another mistake is, for example, I'm not touching the 4th string. Or actually, no, sorry, the 3rd string. But sometimes another finger might be accidentally touching it so that it's not clear and crisp. For example, on the C chord, I'm not touching the very 1st string, the high E. But a common mistake students will have is their index finger is actually touching it. Oh, and then they realize it. And then we'll do our shuffling the deck again once we got our chords. So they shuffle their fingers. And the C usually takes a little time. And I usually do sets of 10. 2, and 3, and 4, and then we go on to the D, same thing. And you check for that. A common mistake on the D is the bottom string will be nubbed out by probably this finger. The ring finger will accidentally touch it. So I'll tell them to kind of adjust, pull your hand over again, and that just the tips of your fingers should be on the strings. And one last thing I usually say is don't pancake when you're doing the chord, meaning your knuckles should be arched as they're coming into the strings, not flat like a pancake. So if I'm doing an A, I'm not pancaking it like a flat pancake. I want to keep my fingers arched and my knuckles arched so that I get more force to press down on the string. So that's a quick tip for exercises for beginning guitar. Again, I call it a sound check and shuffling the deck. All right, hope that helps you.